Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Booktube Chicks Book Club. Tonight we are discussing The Summer Place, which was our pick for June. As usual, I am joined by Kathleen from For the Love of Books and Desiree from Libri Labra, who are going to introduce themselves in just a moment. But if you've never been to one of our live shows before, basically, we're going to do about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes of spoiler free discussion for The Summer Place. Um, and we're going to talk about our initial thoughts and our ratings, just very general discussion. And then we're going to go into spoiler talk for this book. So if you do not want to be spoiled, we recommend leaving before then, or if you don't care, then stick with us. We're going to be talking about this book for the next hour or so. So, Kat, if you want to go ahead and start since you're right next to me.
Hello, I'm Kathleen. My channel is For the Love of Books. I enjoyed this book for the most part. I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into when I went into this book. By the name, I really thought this was going to be more of like a lighthearted, fluffy rom-com. That is not what I got. It was a very messy family drama kind of book, and I had moments where I really enjoyed and I was entertained by it. But for the most part, I felt like the plot was just all over the place. There were so many things happening, and there are quite a few characters because we are kind of following this family, and they're getting together at this place for the summer. And so there's a lot of characters follow around, and they each have like their own little drama that's all connected at the end. And so again, I thought the drama was interesting. We all like the tea, but at the end of the day, I thought it was just too much happening. And so I thought sometimes I felt like I was getting lost in the mess. So I did end up giving this book three and a half stars, being generous. Like I said, I did enjoy, but I felt like just the plot was all over the place. And so I didn't really connect so much with the book as much as I wanted to.
Um, I think that's funny. Just because I feel like the plot was straighter, like straight. It made more sense to me than the previous book that we read, I guess, and with a lot of characters, and like it was still messy and a lot going on, but I feel like at its core, it still had a very distinct story. Um, so there was definitely a lot going on. Some of it was pretty wild. Um, I have been reading a lot of books lately that just have multiple point of views, and I'm kind of tired of it. But that's not this book's fault. But I feel like each character was fairly distinct, and I was interested in all of their stories. Like there wasn't any point where I hit a character and I was like, ah, I just want to be done with them, or I just want to move on to the next character or anything. Um, and a lot of times when I'm reading multiple perspectives, I kind of get to a point where I'm only interested in one character. So I feel like I'm just trying to get through till I get back to that character. And I didn't feel like that at any point in this book. Um, I think I'm leaning towards a 4, but I also do feel like I was expecting something completely different. Like if you look at the cover, it does look like a chill, relaxing summer read, and that was not that at all.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys are saying. Overall, I found this family to be, uh, I mean, just messy, really, which, that's how families are sometimes. And as you guys were talking, I was sitting here thinking, I've been watching a lot of Modern Family recently. And if Modern Family was a drama instead of a comedy, that's what this would be. Like, this could be like that. We are following a lot of different people, and I this was a very character driven book. I find that, was there a plot? Yes, but was it as um obvious as like being more character driven? Or was the plot as obvious as like the characters keeping the story going? No. Um I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by Sutton Foster, who, as an actress, I really enjoy. However, this audiobook could have um, gone really well with a full cast. Um, and in a perfect world, a full cast and duet narration. Um, However, that being said, I gave it 3 stars. I found myself more interested in the book for the first half, where we're learning all these different secrets. And the second half, I just kind of found myself a little bored. Yes, secrets were starting to come out, things were starting to wrap up. However, I was more invested in the first half of the book, I think. Um, I don't know if this is an author I would read anything else from, because I do agree with what you all are saying of this cover. It definitely, you think it's going to be very lighthearted. You don't think it's going to be full of as much drama as it is, but it's very much full of drama and family secrets and all that jazz. Um, so yeah, what would you guys like to talk about with this one?
First of all, I think it's hysterical that this was your pick and that they had a dog named Lord Farquaad.
Right? I didn't even like. I was like, I don't even know. Shrek is, first of all, it's making a comeback, and I don't know when this book came out.
Well, I don't know where it came out, but I know I wasn't expecting it to be dealing with COVID either.
That's another thing I want to mention. Okay, it came out in 2022. That's another thing I would like to mention is that this is only the second book I have read that has a not a large central focus, but talks about COVID in a very present light, as opposed to like in the past or not at all. Because it is the real world. The other one, I don't know if you read it yet, Desiree, was, yeah, you did, was a romantic comedy. But I find that I haven't read many books at all regarding like that talk about COVID in such a present tense.
Did you read Marrying the Ketchups? Because I feel like that might have
I
also
did, but I don't remember. Did it come out that quickly or
I
that
mean, it
later?
was like it definitely dealt. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. It dealt a lot with like right before the 2016 election. So maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I feel like I don't want to read a lot of books that are COVID centric, purely because it's just, yes, it is still a present thing. However, it was such a really just shitty time overall that I like, for me, I want to read about something completely different or like completely not my present. Does
Is
that
it
make sense?
too soon for you? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, that's what it feels like.
Is it too soon to revisit something we just went through?
It's not even about it's too soon. It's that like I don't want to think about things that are like current in my life. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, that totally makes sense. I was thinking something completely different. Like there was just so much drama in this that I was like, I don't think anybody's going to agree with me, but I kind of want like a boring ass book. Like I want a book where like it's just fluffy happy rainbows and like nothing major is happening. Because I just need the contrast to everything that's going on in life right now.
So you need a very fluffy rom-com.
Yeah.
Yep.
Was there any character that you guys liked more than the other? Like, was there a favorite character for you?
I feel like everyone for me was like how you were saying, like there was no storyline I was particularly interested in or wanted to go more towards. I think a good example of the opposite of that is like when we were reading not the
The one.
passengers, but yeah, when we were reading the one, there was like characters where I was like, I don't want to listen to this. However, with this one, I was kind of just I was neither here nor there on any of them. I think I was really focused on trying to keep all the characters and storylines straight.
I think Eli's story was the one I was most invested in. He was such a mess. Like he cheated, and then this girl supposedly got pregnant, and then it turned out it wasn't his baby, and she was trying to get abortion money, and then she didn't abort them. Like his life was just like a complete mess, and I was here for it. So I think his storyline with like with all the twists and turns that it took place, I was most invested in him. And then and then he was afraid that her baby, they were gonna marry
Bro, that was
his daughter,
that
and
whole
I
thing
was like
so messy.
I was like, if there's incest in this book, I will tell Chloe I am not finishing this book and I'm dropping out of the life, because I was like, I'm drawing the line on incest. But yeah, no, that was all kinds of crazy. And then it turns out like she was scamming him or whatever. But it's just like his storyline was just insane.
And the other thing is, like, almost everybody cheated at one point in this book.
And then like that lady Sarah saw them hugging because he was so happy that it turns out his children aren't actually related.
God, I don't even want to like.
And then she got
her story.
Like she went to see like her old love and then cheated on Eli with him. It's like, oh my God. It was just all crazy and funny.
I almost texted John and was like, would you forgive me if I cheated on you? And then I was like, no, I won't, because then he's going to be like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, but yeah, that was all crazy. And then they didn't even get married in the end anyway, so I was like, all of this for Eli pulling his hair out for them not to get married in the end anyway, so.
And then for Gabe to end up with her uncle.
Right? I was like, what is happening in this book?
But like, I knew that was going to happen. The minute he was like, what's your name? And he was like, you can call me Anthony. And I was like, no. And then he was like, I'm staying with my girlfriend's family. And I was like, no.
Yeah, that's when I was like,
I'm not going to lie. The whole, like, what was his name that discovered he's gay?
Sam.
Him discovering he's gay through Harry Potter gay fan fiction.
It was hilarious.
I loved it. I was like, I wonder if we read the same stories. That was just hilarious, and I loved it because it felt real. I don't know why. It felt like relatable. Like instead of like him stumbling upon like gay porn or something, it was him stumbling upon gay Harry Potter fan fiction. But yeah.
Gabe didn't have any chapters, right? No.
I don't think so.
No, we followed, it was Sarah, Sam, Eli, Ronnie. At one point we followed Annette.
And Rosa.
And I feel like there was another one too, but maybe not. I thought Ruby had a chapter, but she didn't have any chapters.
Yes, she does.
She doesn't? Maybe she did.
She does.
I don't remember.
I don't know. There were so many.
I know.
Ruby definitely has chapters.
Oh yeah, she had one in the beginning because it was talking about how she met Gabe.
No, she has one in the end too. I feel like I've read more than one Ruby like more than 2 Ruby chapters.
Okay, there's definitely one in the beginning. I don't know. There's so many people. And I don't know like what the trend is with me recently, but I have been picking up books that the chapters are like
Jesus Christ
5 minutes long.
I did in the end get an ebook because I was starting to get lost in the story and I needed to follow it. But at one point I was listening to audio. The chapter was like an hour and a half long. And I was like, oh my God, how many pages is this book? Like this one chapter. I was about to text you guys. Can you please tell me how many pages is this one chapter?
Which is funny because like towards the end the chapters were like really short.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
But it was just like insane.
Like right before I picked up this book, I had a book that I ended up DNFing, but the chapters were like an hour long each. It was only like a 19 chapter book, but the chapters were just so long that it made it a 13-hour long audiobook.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And a book before that I finished too that was also just ridiculously long chapters.
I will say for me personally, with this book being over 400 pages and the chapters being so long, it read fast for me. Like I read really quickly because there was just so much happening that you're like, you can't take a breather. because you're just moving on to the next drama. So for me personally, I thought it was going to take me forever to finish this book. I actually, but I ended up finishing it rather quickly, actually.
If I had been solely listening to this book, I would have finished it way faster than I did. But I think at the time I was reading like 4 things. So I kept switching around, but I was trying to prioritize this one. It was only yesterday that I realized, like, oh, I only have 2 hours left. Like, let's just knock it out.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Desiree? How was your reading experience?
I read it within the last 2 days, so.
But did it read fast for you, or do you felt like you had to keep going?
I mean, like, I wasn't. I know the chapters were long, but I wasn't really paying attention to the chapters being long because each chapter focused on a character. So, like, it was just like, okay, I'm living with this character right now. You know, like, it didn't bother me. And also, the audiobook narrator must have narrated shit really, really slow because I sped it up significantly.
Yeah, I started like because I just finished the Love Hypothesis, and I was listening to that at 140, which generally I read faster than that because I was just I don't know, I didn't like the narrator for the Love Hypothesis, so I was reading at 140, and then with this book I started at 150, and then like maybe 10% in I was listening at 175, and I finally jumped to 2 because I felt I agreed, the narrator, I felt like she was reading too slowly.
You know, fun fact, because you mentioned the dog we named Lord Farquaad, and this is my pick. In the original run of Shrek the Musical on Broadway, the audiobook narrator, Sutton Foster, played Fiona. And
Oh, really?
And she's the one you can watch it on Netflix. She's the one in there too. And there was like a TV show on ABC Family back when it was ABC Family, called Bunheads, that only ran for like 2 seasons, but she was the main character in that too. I think that was my first introduction to her. So when it was like narrated by Sutton Foster, I was like, oh hey, I know you.
That's funny. I don't know. It felt very current. There was a lot of like pop culture.
Very current.
I don't know. I'm like, so obviously, like, Eli was doing his thing and like freaking out because he was, I don't know, like the way he was treating his wife. That's just so messy. It's so messy that like here his wife is like, oh, he must be cheating on me, and then she turns around and cheats on him, and like.
But like,
here's the thing: was he actually cheating on her? Because when he cheated, it was with his first wife.
Yeah,
so
right,
like
he never cheated on her.
So she assumed that the hug meant that, like, she felt like he was ignoring her, and I get why he was doing it, because he was so worried that he thought his son was going to commit incest, but or his daughter, I mean. But I'm like, in the end, like, how hypocritical are you? In the end, he did not cheat on you. It was you who went to your first love's arms.
Here's the thing, though. Technically, if they were half siblings, they would have already committed incest. They were just
true.
Getting married.
Still, they would have committed illegal.
However,
but
so much would have been solved if he just told her what the problem was.
Yeah, but I get it. Like, I mean, he didn't have answers himself, you know? Like, how do you... I wouldn't want to have that conversation. I wouldn't want to have to tell my current spouse that I cheated on my previous spouse, and now I think that my daughter's fiance could be my kid. Like, and he didn't know for sure. Like, you know, he was just thinking about, like, how do I find out what's the answer? But I kind of felt bad for Ari.
Oh, the brother. I had to think about who he was at first.
Why do you?
Well, because I can imagine how annoying that is to feel like you're the bad kid or you're the bad sibling, and then
Yeah.
people to think that your brother is like the golden boy, but here he is, you
Oh
know.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Mm.
I know this one I feel like is what when a book is just neutral for me, I find it harder to talk about. So I feel like this book is hard to stretch out a live show for, even with it being as messy as it was.
So one thing I didn't like, and then like you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but in the one chapter that I remember where they were talking about Rosa and what she was doing, and I'm like, I guess because her name is Rosa, but I was like, oh, she sounds like she might be Latinx, and I thought it, but I didn't feel it at any point in the book until like Rosa's telling Gabe who his dad is. And it felt like that was the first time they introduced Spanish into the book. And I was like, you can't just throw a mommy in here and be like, I don't know. It just felt so inauthentic. Um, and then the person who was narrating, what'd you say her name was?
Sutton Foster.
Yeah, like the one Spanish word that she said she pronounced wrong, and that bothered me too.
I'm telling you, I really like Sutton Foster. However, this would have been great with a full cast.
So like, I get it. She's an author. She wrote in some Latinx characters, but they didn't feel Latinx at all until like all of a sudden this like not great Spanish came into the picture, and I was just like, what the hell?
Great Spanish. I love that. I didn't even notice, to be honest.
And then, yeah, I guess I don't know what to think about that either. That like from the moment Rosa or Jane came into the picture, like she was a bit of a seductress. So like that too.
Yeah, it's I like how she's like, yeah, I got pregnant by this guy, but I knew he was poor. He wouldn't be able to give me money for abortion, so I'm going to seduce this other guy, have this sexcapade with him for a whole weekend, and then 2 weeks turn up later and try to blackmail him for abortion money, and then, oh yeah, I'm not going to get the abortion.
I mean, she's entitled to change her mind, but like,
yeah. But one thing I do appreciate is that I don't know if it was when I think it was when she came back and she told him like the whole truth. He didn't blame her for his cheating. He was like, I was a willing participant that weekend. So I feel like in a lot of cases, a man would try to be like paint her, yeah, try to paint her as like a seductress, which she did seduce him. Try very hard to do, but he was, again, as he said, a willing participant, and so I did like that he did not blame her for him cheating, because at the end of the day, it takes two to tango, and he definitely tangoed. So
I don't know, Chloe, if Will was like previously married and he had cheated on his previous wife and you found out about it now, like how would you feel about that? Like how would you process that? Like would you feel like you were different?
Well, here's the thing.
Wait, no, wait. Let's go back. Hold on. Do we believe in like once a cheater, always a cheater? What do you guys think about that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so for what?
What she said, once a cheater, always a cheater.
I mean,
but I personally if he cheated on me, I would not stay. However, I don't believe that just because he cheated on me, he would automatically cheat with his next person. You know what I mean?
Kat has a point. Yes. And also, the thing is, like, you pose this question, and yet I know that he has no friends, really. And
I was gonna say, no offense to Will if he's watching this, but Will runs to their bedroom every time you and I visit. He runs like we have the plague. Like he does not stay in the room. So, like, I appreciate the scenario told Chloe, but like this is a horrible.
You need to ask yourself the question for John.
Yeah.
Well, no, okay, which is fine, but like I'm having a discussion, so I want to know what other people would say.
Okay, so listen.
I also, to answer my own question, I also don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater.
Okay, so in my early 20s, I was with this person, and it was very serious to the point where we talked about marriage. He cheated on me, and we broke up. He later found somebody else, and he married that person. Do I believe he's cheating on her? No. I do believe people change. I believe just because they make a mistake with one person does not now automatically they're going to commit the same mistake with another person. So do I believe once a cheater, always a cheater? Not necessarily.
I feel like that's like the most you've ever told us about your personal life.
No, I feel like I already knew that story.
I don't know. but yeah, so
Chloe still hasn't answered the question.
So wait, what was your answer, Desiree?
My answer that I don't believe once a cheater, always a cheater. So like,
so would you be suspicious of John if you knew that he, in a previous relationship, he cheated on said person?
Well, I think at the very least, I would be like, well, like right now, I don't think he would ever do that. Like,
right.
So it would obviously change that perception. Like at that point, I would be like, okay, well, now we know he's capable of it. But I don't think I'd like to believe that it wouldn't be such an issue that he couldn't tell me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've cheated in a previous relationship, and I told him. So, and I don't think it makes him worry, as far as I know. So, I feel like Eli should have been able to tell Sarah, is my point.
Yeah, I mean, especially because they were together for so long and they had such a healthy relationship and there were no issues, no known issues. Whereas with what's her name, with Annette, they were together for a period of time. However, we knew she wasn't happy. He wasn't happy. Like, there were so many factors.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. In his head, because I would be hesitant too. In his head, he was thinking, I'm going to get the paternity test done and then really find out if my children are siblings or not. And if it turns out they are, and then I'm going to tell.
Right, yeah.
But
that's what I'm saying. He didn't have all the information.
I feel like, I don't know. It doesn't say. But I feel like he didn't want to hurt his wife, even though it wasn't her she cheated on, before he had all the information. So I don't know. If I was in his place, I think I would want to know for sure before I drop a bomb on his wife, even though, again, it wasn't her he cheated on.
Which I agree with, but it just sucks that he was treating her so differently.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, yeah, I get it, and that's what caused her to run into the arms of this other guy, but yeah. But I also feel like he had a lot on his mind, and her feelings were the last thing he was thinking about. Like, I'm sorry, but if my daughter was potentially marrying her half sibling, I would be more stressed out about that than the fact that I'm ignoring my wife or whatever.
there anything else we want to talk about with this book? Desiree, you look like you have something to say.
I mean, I don't know. This is the second book I've read by this author. I
Was the
think,
first one as messy as this one?
I don't
Do you remember what it was?
No, it was called Good in Bed.
Okay.
And like I don't remember like everything that happened, but I think like the main character was a writer or a journalist or something like that, and she was also overweight, and I think she was with someone who broke up with her because she was overweight or something like that. I don't know, like weight was like a big part of it. So it was about like her learning to love and accept herself and like kind of coming into her own sexuality and finding a healthy relationship.
Oh, I've seen this book before because I think I saw it shortly after getting this one because it got recovered because it originally came out in 2002.
Yeah. I read it back then when it was like a release.
I've seen the new cover before.
And I really liked it.
I was gonna say this book needs to recover.
And then like what's crazy is that there's a blurb on here. I mean, I guess it's about the author, so it can make sense, but like it's just so misleading. Like it's a New York Times blurb, and it says the undisputed boss of the beach read. Like, come on.
No. No.
I mean, I'm sure everyone has different definitions of what a beach read is. However,
no. This is so far from a beach read.
Some people like to read thrillers on the beach, Cat.
This is so far from a beach read.
I know, that's like, even beach read wasn't a beach read, but like so it says thought-provoking and timely. Weiner has made a major literary career out of writing engrossing popular novels that take women seriously, empowering. Your ideal beach read full of secrets and complicated female friendships. This twisty novel.
It's not all female though.
Where were the female friendships?
Or did these people like even read the book?
Wait, yeah, because like where were the female friendships?
Hold on. It says praise for that summer.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. So that's a
Okay.
different book. Okay, it makes sense. I was like, I saw the word summer and it was yellow and I figured it matched and I didn't really. That makes a lot of sense that these blurbs have nothing to do with this book.
Here's my thing. The name is okay. The summer place. Okay, fine. My issue is that woman swimming on the little floaty. It makes me think that it's a fluffy rom-com and it's not that. They could have put like
being a pond person.
Oh my god. That's I don't know, that doesn't say like family drama to me.
Exactly.
It's a nice cover though. It's eye-catching.
I like all of her covers, and that's why I thought I would like this one.
Chloe, when you chose this.
So think about it this way. If you had known what to expect, do you think you would have rated it higher? Like if you knew you were walking into a family drama, or would you think you'd still rate it the same?
My rating would probably still be the same because I knew it wasn't a romance. I just didn't expect it to be so messy.
I think I would have rated it the same because I usually go into like our book club books blind, and there have been some books that I really, really enjoyed. So Chloe, you knew when you picked this book, you knew that this book wasn't a lighthearted, beachy rom-com?
So I knew
I figured you chose this book because it's June and it's summer, and I figured you would want some kind of summer rom-com kind of vibes for June.
Listen, I picked it for the vibes, okay?
Which is not what we got.
First of all, hold on, I'm gonna have to go back and find the chat. However, but you know there were two other choices with this.
I know.
So,
girl, do you think I remember what I choose?
which is why I'm going to go back and look.
Yeah.
However,
Hold
No,
on.
I definitely chose this one. I definitely, because this was, but I was just wondering if you knew what you chose.
I picked it for the vibes. No, I didn't know it wasn't a romance. However, I didn't know it was this messy. And I'm going to actually look and see what the other picks were because I don't even remember. So let's see.
Okay.
No, this was
It
definitely
was
one that
the
I
hookup
chose.
dilemma. Wait, shit, where'd it go? Okay, the hookup dilemma, the summer place, and the unplanned life of Josie Hale. You voted for the unplanned life.
Me? Really?
Yeah.
I thought I chose this book. Okay. Then
No,
it must have been another.
I chose the summer place, and then Chloe picked the summer place.
Okay. All right. Because I remember there was one, maybe it was for later this year, there was one book that I chose, and you texted me separately, be like, are you choosing it because Chloe, I don't remember what you said, but I was like, no, I chose it because it sounded interesting.
And then I said, Kat, what was your picking process this time around? Just curious. And you said it had the highest rating and the summer place is over 400 pages. So I didn't want that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I sometimes, depending on how far in advance we're picking, especially if it's like really far where I'm like, I'm not going to read it for a while, I pick books that book club will force me to read. Like, yeah, they're on my TBR. However, I know I'm not reaching for it.
Right. Yeah, 100%. I do the same thing.
So I think that's why those three books were grouped together. Especially because when did we pick? This was in December that we picked. So I knew we weren't going to be touching it for 6 months. I didn't want to pick anything that I was really excited
to read. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, and I picked it because it had been on my radar and I had previously read the author and I knew that I had liked her previous book. So, I mean, she has a ton of them, but the one that I had read, I guess I didn't like really look at the synopsis. Because I had no idea it was about a
look at it before I read it.
Like right before this released, I don't know if the Gloss was interviewing the author or the publisher, but I feel like they had like a chat that I remember being a part of, which got me additionally excited for the book. But you know, I'm sure like the information went through like family drama and I just didn't hold on to it because yep. We didn't give any content warnings, but I feel like we should.
I was thinking about that before we started because I was trying to write my notes. And I kept blanking. The only thing I could think of was cheating and the death of a family member, off-page death of a family member.
Well, I mean, also cancer.
And Harry Potter references.
Yeah, and discussion of abortion. Parental abandonment. I don't know, there was a lot. So what do we think of Ronnie's storyline?
I found it interesting how she was talking about how when she went to New York and she was publishing that it was like a different person almost. And I was wondering why throughout it she kept distinguishing between writing and publishing.
Oh, okay.
And I'm guessing it's because she really enjoyed the writing, but she was a completely different person that she didn't like while she was publishing. Especially because they found the box of manuscripts at the end.
I feel like I don't understand what the DNA thing was about.
Was it her sister that brought it up again?
Yeah.
Um, isn't aren't they aren't the twins not actually Lee's, her husband's?
Is that what it was? It was somebody
I'm
else.
trying to remember. I don't know. There's a lot of affairs in this book. So
That, like, as a kid, or like, as to find out that your mom had been unfaithful. I don't know. I feel like that would be more heartbreaking than to find out that my spouse cheated in a previous relationship. To find out that, like, one of my parents cheated on one of my parents, even if they're not in the picture anymore, or not together, or deceased, or whatever the case was, I think I would.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we have a tendency to, like, idolize our parents in a certain way, and it's usually really disappointing to find out they're human beings who make mistakes, I think.
is there anything else we wanted to talk about with this book?
I can do final thoughts.
All right, that's fine.
So I think the writing was good. And, like, again, I'm not a fan of, like, a ton of different perspectives, because I usually find myself interested in one perspective more than the others. And I feel like this author did a really good job of maintaining my interest across all of the perspectives. And I think they were just, like, really well woven together. Um, and there wasn't, like, a ton of necessarily, like, funny moments, but there were some smiles and stuff from, like, the name of the dog, or just things that were happening, or some of the pop culture references. And um it was messy, but it felt like purposeful. It didn't, I don't know, in the last book that we read where it was messy, it just kind of felt like somebody was just, like, throwing shit together. Um, and this didn't feel quite as thrown together. It just felt more purposeful, I think. I I feel like the Latinx rep. I mean, even though this woman is probably white and Jewish, um, I just feel like the Latinx rep could have been a little bit better, or a little bit more present, or I don't know. But outside of that, I still give it 4 stars.
Before Kat does her final thoughts, while you were talking, I just thought about, like, because I have the cringe pen. What if it's like, I am messy, but I am free? And so I started laughing about that. And then I started laughing when you were like, she's probably white and Jewish.
I mean, I think she is. Let me see. I mean, there's Jewish rep in the book, in the story. So she's written a lot of stuff, though. Anyway, those are my thoughts.
Okay, I gave 3 stars to this book. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to read all the drama and the tea. I did find myself getting lost sometimes on what was happening, because I felt like too much was happening at once. And I thought it was messy, but I agree, it was, I feel like, intentional, because there's so much family drama happening in here. But because of it, I just felt like I couldn't really connect so much as I wanted to with the story, and so I just ended up giving it 3 stars. I didn't love the book, but I also didn't hate it. There were moments that I was really entertained.
Sorry, I started reading the acknowledgments. They're like 4 pages long. This book is messy. As families are. This large family has a lot of secrets, and it's just messy. which I think that's been our keyword for the past 2 book club live shows. I give it 3 stars. I'm not really, knocking down any doors to read anything else by this author, but who knows? That could change. Obviously, they have a lot of different books out, but I have some priority books I'd rather focus on. However, I'm glad we gave it a chance, even though I'm only giving it 3 stars. And the audiobook needs a full cast of characters, or full cast for all the characters, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm just dropping my book over here as I try and set it down. I don't have a physical book of anything that I'd like to talk about for the next month, so I pulled up pictures on Google. But next month in July, we are reading Dear Emmy Blue by Leah Lewis. And I don't know when our live show is. I was very unprepared to talk about what's going on. Our live show is going to be on July 24th, also at 7 p.m. And that is a Wednesday because we will be traveling. So we won't be able to do it on the weekend. So Wednesday, July 24th at 7 p.m. on this channel for Dear Emmy Blue. And then next week, head over to Kat's channel, which is linked in the description below, for Pages and Pals on July 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And that is just an hour or so of reading whatever we're currently reading at the time. You can use it as productivity time, reading time, whatnot. We just like to read together because it's always more fun to read with friends. And then for Desiree's and my book club, the quarterly romance book club, we are going to be reading Not Another Love Song by Julie Soto, a new release that I think we are both very much anticipating. Our live show for that is going to be on Sunday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Desiree? 6 p.m. On Desiree's channel, which is also linked in the description below. And who are we going to have as special guest, Desiree?
Michelle's Library.
All right. I will link her channel in the description below. Hopefully I remember to do that. So that's everything that's coming up in the next couple of months. So thank you all for joining us for discussing The Summer Place by Jennifer. Was her name Weiner or Weiner?
I have said Weiner, so I'm not sure.
I think that's what the audiobook said. But thank you all for joining us for our discussion of this book, and we will see you all next time. Bye.